Hello everybody. I want to talk about the mind and the body orbs. There's an orb, like the mind has its orb and then the body has its orb, and they both work autonomously, but also they overlap each other, just like two little circles overlapping. So the mind will try and dominate, but then the body also tries to dominate. And it's really important to understand this because it will make you understand why things happen. For example, if you're very busy and at work and working and so busy and working, but you got the flu and you're so busy and your mind's sort of keeping you at work and you're soldiering on, but your body decides it's had enough, the body orb will actually just make you sick and just make you have to stay home. And the body kind of wins. So it beats the mind, and that's how the body and the mind work. You also see it when someone's dying, when the body is just so bad and it's so ill and they're so sick, but their mind, the mind orb, is much stronger than the body at this stage, and the mind keeps them alive. And then eventually the body orb takes over and says, no, sorry guys, we've had enough, we're checking out, we can't stay any longer. We've got these two simultaneously working, autonomously and then together. And what's important is to understand where you're coming from. So when you're doing something, are you coming from your mind orb or your body orb? I think in this culture, in our society, we're mostly coming from the mind orb. There is a sort of a trend to go to listen to our bodies and nurture ourselves, and that's coming in now, which is great. But formerly it was all about the mind. So people went to work when they had pneumonia, and people went to work when they had the flu, and people just pushed their bodies to the limit and didn't listen to their bodies and just pushed because their mind was in control, and then they landed up obviously getting sick. I always believe that if you're not listening, your body will eventually talk back to you. So if you're not listening to your body, it'll actually just fall over and you'll be exhausted and land up in bed with something, and your body basically hasn't been listened to, you haven't been looking after yourself, you haven't been getting enough sleep, eating properly, whatever it is, and the body totally takes over. Usually when that's happening, the mind is in complete control. You'll find people who are what I call coming from the head people. They tend to be the mind people, and very much everything's in their mind, everything's the thoughts in the head, and they've almost got a disconnection to their body. The other people who have a disconnection to their body are people who've been abused, especially sexually abused, because if you've been physically or sexually abused, you'll find a way to get out of your body and use your mind to go somewhere else. It's a great technique to survive. However, your body's just left there putting up with it, and that's why you often don't remember much, because you're not actually there. The body remembers, but the mind doesn't remember. To get a good life, you need to balance both. So that little idea of having time to rest and look after yourself and nurture yourself, and then have work and activity and things that you're doing, and getting those in balance is actually the trick of life. It's not one or the other, it's the balance of the two orbs. So we need to do all the mental and mind things that we have to do, and paying our bills and going to work and working out things and thinking about what we're going to do for our next holiday, etc., which is the mind stuff. But then we also need to do the physicality for the body. The body needs really good food. It needs lots of water, a lot more than people are actually drinking. I don't think people drink enough water, really. Some of the gym junkies might, but on average people are drinking a lot of water. And if you still like to have coffee, try and have a glass of water or two when you have your coffee at the same time. Just trying to slip it in there and get more water in. The other thing it needs is more rest, and I think this is in our society because we have the lights on and we're on our computers and we can watch Netflix till 3 in the morning. It means that our sleep patterns are disturbed and we're probably not getting enough sleep, enough rest. The other thing that it also needs is some physical nurturing. For example, maybe some massage if you're getting tight, physio, chiro, and also to nurture it in terms of oils and protection, like I'm in Australia, so we need good sun protection here. It's a matter of doing both and making sure that we also know which one is needed. Like if we're doing all the body things, but our mind needs, perhaps we're bored and we need to stimulate ourselves more, then that's important that we do that, the mind orb then. Or if we need to go to another challenge or problem solve something, for example, if we can't go to sleep because we're worried about something, we're better off actually doing it, getting it done, and then go to bed and go to sleep. Like let the mind all work first and then the body second, but make sure you still do the body thing. I think when we hammer our bodies with bad food and neglect it, smoke, drink, take drugs, eat too much perhaps, when we do those things and don't get enough rest, the body will start to break down in a sense. It's what we want to do. It's the mind working again. This is what I want to do. I want to go to the party. I want to get really drunk. I want to keep smoking. But eventually the body all will go, you know what? This is really bad for me and I'm going to put a stop to this and I'm going to stop you in your tracks. We've got like two little minds going there because the mind has its consciousness, but the body has its consciousness too, and they're both operating for our greater good. That's what it is, our greater good. When you start to live this life and see the two overlapping and the balance, it's kind of easier to give way to the other one. I always ask myself what I need. So if, for example, I'm not sure whether I need to be doing more stimulating stuff or researching or whatever, or whether I actually need rest and to look at my diet a little bit more, get more exercise even, which is a body thing, I ask. And I think that's a really good idea that you can do, that you can ask your body. We can get into patterns and we can fall into our gene pool as well, where we were brought up to do things a certain way. If you grew up with a workaholic, you're going to find it hard to look after your body, and vice versa if you with someone who did look after their body a lot but maybe didn't take care of any of their mental type aspects, their mind, and doing things and keeping interested, you could become almost a person who doesn't move ahead mentally. It's looking at those things and then working out where your imbalance is and fixing the imbalance. I really like to use kinesiology. I'll ask with kinesiology, do I need more rest? Do I need more good food? Do I need more water? Do I need more mental activity? Do I need more mental stimulation? Do I need to be working on these projects and get off my couch and do more? So I actually ask, and your body will tell you, even though it's a mind thing, it will still record the mind through the kinesiology. So you can use that. And sometimes you just intuitively know, because a part of you's talking to you, your body's like, I'm really too tired to sit and finish the project right now. I should get some rest and do it tomorrow and I'll do a better job. If you tune in to each section, you'll be better and you'll be able to understand yourself more. It's also interesting because if we look at other people, you can see which one's working. Some people who are super stressed from work and tired all the time and overwhelmed all the time, it's because mentally they're just doing too much and they're not giving themselves any de-stress time or a body time, going to bed early enough. They're sort of on that little treadmill. And it's easy to see it in them, and you can say to them, I think you're working too much. I think you need to have some downtime, be in nature, rest, look after yourselves, eat better, whatever it is. When it's yourself, it's different. I think because you're in it, but you can teach yourself to listen more. I had to teach myself to listen to my body more because I was rather disconnected from my body. I was very cerebral and quite mental, and not in that way. I think I'm a bit mental too, but I mean in that I'm always thinking. So if you're one of those people, then you need to really look at the body orb and take care of it. We are all individual and we're all on our paths. However, I think we can improve our lives by understanding what's happening in our actual aura. The aura is very powerful in terms of getting us everywhere, and I always feel like it's my temple, and so I need to look after it, particularly if I want to do the work I'm come down to do. And you might feel the same, and so I need to balance a little bit more and not just work all the time. It's Also interesting to realise that work can be avoidance as well. So be aware of that. If you're a bit of a workaholic, you're probably avoiding some things, maybe relationship stuff or some personal stuff that's coming up. And you might even be avoiding some body stuff. Perhaps you really do know that you need to lose some weight or eat more healthy or drink more water, etc., or get more exercise, but you avoid it by just living in your mind. So try and live in your mind and try and live in your body. Try and live in both those orbs and let one win when it needs to and let the other one win when it needs to. And know when they're having a fight, because you'll feel the tug and the pull, because one part of you wants to do it and the other part can't do it. So when I get very physically tired and I want to work, I really need to listen to that, because I'm thinking to myself, you know what, you're a bit too tired to do all this work today. Just chill out and be a bit of a body person. I think the more you think about the two orbs, the more you see it in other people. And you can also warn them or speak to them about it. Maybe not exactly like this, but you can talk to them about, you need to start looking after yourself, your physical body. People understand that. Or, I think you're bored. I think you need to stimulate yourself mentally, and you need to start working your mind. And that's why I think when people get older and they're not doing as much, and maybe sitting on the couch and watching TV, that's why mentally the mind isn't, that orb isn't being fed. And it's important to do that so you don't develop other things because it's not being used. It's an interesting thing when I was shown the two orbs and them overlapping. I was kind of excited. It was really interesting for me. And energetically, it's really interesting because they spill onto each other and they actually affect each other vibrationally. And that's the important thing. You want to keep the vibration of the mind high. I've done a podcast on that. But you also want to keep the vibration of the body high, because when they're both high, they help each other as well. You don't want the body to be really low and the mind to be really high, or vice versa. You want to try and get them both about the same. I think when we're born, they're probably fairly equal, but life does take its toll and that can change. So I'm wishing you lots of good body orbs and mind orbs this week, and sending you lots of light and love.